Alright guys, picking up this is part 3 of our stealth drone build. When I left off I was applying the drag rudders. So I went ahead and installed the other one. You can see where I drew the line down the center of the top of the fuselage. And then I just centered these in between that line. And we can recap from 1 and 2. We cut out our main airframe, cut out the sides of our fuselage, the top. Took and make our first 3 bends. Went ahead and hot glued the center bend. Then we made our 2 outer bends using our template. Then we applied the sides and the top of our fuselage. And then we were installing the drag rudders. So I'm going to get right back into, this is the, covers the canopy near the front here. You can see where I cut out for the air intake. We're going to go ahead and install this. What I'm going to do is center it on there. Just trace it out. Go ahead and install this. Any excess glue, you guys just wipe it off with your fingers. Now I went ahead and cut out the rest of the other pieces. This is your nose gear for underneath the jet. This is your bottom fins and your top tail fins. And they were all just straight cut pieces, simple to cut out. But what we're going to do now, we're going to go ahead and cut out for our Elevons. And all I'm going to do is take one side of the plans that we cut out earlier. I'll take and cut off one of these Elevons. And you can use just one side of the Elevon for this. Just flip it over and use it on the other side. Just going to take and set this on here and mark it out. Just marking all my corners. Come back with a ruler and fill it in. Go ahead and do the same for the other side. Go ahead and mark all your corners. Alright, now we can go ahead and cut these out. I'm going to cut them out and attach them with some tape. What I'm going to do is I'm going to do a 45 toward the front of the jet. Cutting down at a 45. And just straight cut these lines. Now once I did that, I'm just going to turn this around, cut a 45 back cut into it. Then you're going to want to take and trim off a little bit on both ends just to give it some clearance. So when we put it back on, it ain't rubbing. I'm only doing like maybe a 1/16 on both ends. So there, we got it all cut out. Take and apply this with a little bit of tape. I'm just going to use a couple pieces of Scotch tape for now, and I'll go back and use the box tape over this. There we got one Elevon. Take and do this other side. Again, I'm going to take and cut a 45 toward the front of the jet, right on the hinge line. Up here. So now we'll go ahead and do the same to this piece. I'm just going to back cut it. Take a 1/16 off both ends. Go ahead and apply this side. Then I would go ahead and put some box tape across there and go ahead and run some pieces of tape connecting the bottom. Makes it real strong. Alright, now we're going to move on to installing some of these tail fins. Go ahead and apply the two bottom ones. And all you got to do is eyeball these out, you guys. It ain't gotta be perfect. But they're set on an angle about like that. You can see that. Maybe about a 10 degree, 15 degree angle out toward the end of the wing. Let's go ahead and apply these. You're going to apply it right in the bend we made. So again, there we go. Maybe at a 10-15 degree angle. And I'm installing them in our first score line. Go ahead and apply the other side. Just line it up. we get these on here and let them set, I'll go ahead and hit them with another bead of glue. Just like so. Like I said, there ain't much of a angle on them, maybe a 10 degree, 15 degree angle. I'll go ahead and just hit one side with a nice bead of glue. And might as well go ahead and hit both sides. I just use a nice fine bead all the way down it. It don't take a whole lot, as long as you're connecting the two pieces. Just want a little bit more. Alright, now we're going to go ahead and make our score lines on the end of our wing. Find what I do with my plans for that right there. I'm just going to take and cut off the plans, the very end of the wing. We're going to score a line on the bottom of the jet and fold these downward. Go ahead and lay it on here and just mark where I'm going to have my score line. And this is on the bottom of the jet. So there we got our marks, and we'll go ahead and score it. I'm just going to go ahead and cut a little V notch out. It's about a 1/16. Now you can see it bends downward. I want a little more bend than that, so I'm going to go ahead and cut another little notch out the other side. There you guys go. You just want to set these at like a 35-degree angle. Go ahead and get some glue in there and set it. Let that set up for a second. When I go ahead and cut the other side, I'll make sure it matches this one. You just can set these at whatever degree you want. 35, 45. So there we got one side set. Go ahead and take care of this other one. Just go ahead and lay my piece on there. Mark out the ends. Go ahead and score our line again. Cut out about a 1/16. on both sides of your score line. Now we're just going to go ahead and match this up with the other side. I just usually hold it up and look at both ends, make sure they look about the same. Looks real good. Alright, let's go ahead and install our tail fins on the top. These are going to they're going to butt right in the sides of the fuselage and the main airframe, which is right on them first two bends. And we're going to set these at like a 50-degree angle, about like that. Let's go ahead and apply these. Don't be afraid to use some glue on these. So we'll go ahead and set it at about a 50-degree angle out. So just like that. Go ahead and install the other side. Go ahead and set it at the same pitch you got the other one. All I do is just eyeball it, looking down the jet. That looks good. Alright guys, let's install this bottom landing gear here. Pop it right in the center on the bottom. Just like so. And that'll just help with landing, so you ain't landing right on the nose. Just nice little landing gear. It also acts as like a tail fin or a vertical stabilizer fin. Alright, so now once we got all that, now you guys can line up your plans on your jet here to cut out for your thrust tube. All I usually do is I just line them up. Line it up where it belongs. Take and mark it, the very front of it. And where's my cup? I don't know where my foam cup is. My cat stole it. So anyway, guys, you guys have seen before on the build videos. I'll go ahead and cut it out with the scissors and then just trace it out on there. I just install this the same way I install all the other. Go ahead and cut that out. Line up your plans at the bottom of your jet. Make sure you got it centered on there real nice. Just like that. Now I'm just going to mark it with a pin. Mark all my corners. Go ahead and connect it with the ruler. Don't be afraid to cut this out a little bigger than the actual foam cup, because if you use the removable thrust tube unit that we designed, it won't matter if this hole's a little bigger. But if you're not using the removable thrust tube, just go ahead and cut it exactly to the size of the cup. Eyeball these up. And there's where you guys cut out for your thrust tube. Alright, now the canopy for this, I know a lot of guys were asking me where I got my canopy from. And this canopy here is actually just one of these bigger versions. I just took and cut off the very top of this canopy down to this size. So I mean, if you guys buy a bigger canopy off like a P51 or something, you guys can just cut it down to what size you need, just like I did there, and that'll go right in front of your battery here. And you can go ahead and do some test flights first before you install your canopy, so you know where your battery will mount, so that way you can find your CG first, and then once you do, then you can cut your canopy down to the size you need it, so it's not in the way of your battery. Alright guys, I think that about wraps it up on that. I'll go ahead and show you how I installed the electronics on mine real quick. Here I got a little hatch that I used with a Phillips screwdriver. I used the top of a servo horn. I just ran a screw down through there. That way I can open and close it. I'm going to show you guys how I got all my electronics in here. I got my speed controller, receiver, my battery. Just use your other set of plans, get another set of plans printed up so you can find where you could install your servos or your battery and speed controller mounts. That's why I just get 2 plans printed up when I do these. And don't forget, for your first flight, you're going to want to set your Elevons up a little bit in the back. About 15-degree angle up, like I got there. my next build is going to be working on the Independence Day alien fighter, or alien attack ship. I think they call it the ID-4. Now again, with this jet, you're going to want to go ahead and use clear packing tape again. Go ahead and hit all the big surfaces with some clear packing tape. In the bottom, just wherever you think you want to be, you know, put some strength to this. Alright, I'll get back with you. Over and out.